and welcome to Unsolicited Relationship Advice with Eliana Camargo. I'm going to be reading posts on Reddit asking for relationship advice, so I guess it's not all that unsolicited, but I'll be giving my armchair psychologist opinion on what they should do, because I love romance more than anything in the world, so I'm really excited for this. And yes, I'm wearing a wig today. It's not the best wig install job ever, but I got this for Halloween, so I decided to put it on, because why the hell not? And I actually kind of like how I look as a blonde way more than I anticipated, way more than I expected to. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the first post. Girl reached out to me, 28 female, accusing my fiance, 30 male, of cheating, but the guy in the photos wasn't him. Okay. Just for background, I've been with my fiance for over 3 years, and when I say this man couldn't be more than perfect, I'm not exaggerating. He communicates amazing, we've always had a perfect relationship, and everything about us is the best relationship of anyone I know. We always joke that we should start a podcast on healthy relationships because that's how good we are together. A few days ago, I got a message on Facebook from a girl claiming she's been sleeping with my fiance for a month or so. He apparently told her she was in an open relationship, but she had suspicions it wasn't true, so she's reaching out to me. As proof, she sent me pictures of his Tinder profile and text messages. But here's the wild thing. The guy in the pictures of his Tinder profile and the phone number don't belong to my fiancé. Admittedly, the guy in the pictures looked very, very similar, but it with 10,000% confidence wasn't him. Also, the name in the profile isn't my fiancé's name either. I sent the girl pictures of my fiancé saying, "This is my fiancé, not that guy." And she's swearing it's him still. I asked her some of the times they've slept together, and she gave me the 4 instances they've slept together. 3 of the 4 times, I was either out of town or working, but I can say with 100% confidence that 1 of the 4 times, I was with him that night, and therefore, it couldn't have been him. I asked her more about that one time just to be sure, and she insists she's very certain it was that night. Yesterday, my fiancé fell asleep early, and I did something I'm not proud of and snooped through his phone. I found 0 evidence of anything on his phone. No Tinder, no apps on his phone that could draw suspicion. He definitely passed the test on every front. So now I'm feeling extremely guilty that I snooped his phone, and at the same time I'm still wondering if this girl was telling me the truth or if she's just trying to start drama. Maybe it's a guy that looks like my fiancé and she's just mistaken. Do you think I should talk to my fiancé about this and see what he has to say? Or should I try and find more details before approaching him? Do I tell him I went through his phone? What do I do? There's an edit. Adding this in, I just looked back, and the night I was out of town, she claimed she was with him from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That same night, my fiancé and I had a phone conversation from 7:45 to 8:15. Really starting to think he's innocent, and I'm feeling worse for going through his phone. Okay, this is interesting. Well, first of all, I definitely 100% think that they should communicate that, at the very least, this lady reached out to her and is claiming to have slept with him, because why not? What's the harm in that? Apparently they communicate about everything. They can definitely communicate that this situation has been going on. But I think her main concern is, do I tell him that I snooped through his phone? And my gut instinct says yes. Like, if you feel guilty about it, let it out, get it off your chest, and kind of feel 2 ways about it, where he might feel kind of like his privacy was violated and, you don't trust me enough to talk to me or believe me or whatever, that you had to snoop and see if there was something to this. But I also feel like he would understand that this is kind of an extenuating circumstance, that, it's not every day someone reaches out to you and is like, "Hey, I'm sleeping with your fiancé, he's cheating on you," and obviously you're going to want to look for proof of that. So yeah, I would sit him down and explain that this lady reached out, and it sounds like she already believes that her fiancé is not cheating, and this isn't the craziest circumstance in the world. I feel like things like this have happened. Either 1, she's genuinely mistaking the fiancé for somebody else, or 2, she is just like fucking around and bullshitting. Maybe she has a crush on the fiancé, and so she's trying to split them up so that she can get with him. And then when they get together, she'll be like, "Bitch, I told you so. He was sleeping with me," when really they got together afterwards. It could be that, or just some troll that finds pleasure in tearing people apart. Awful, 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 waffle, waffle. Yeah, I would explain to him that this lady reached out to me, and before I talked to you about it, I wanted to gather my own evidence So I did look through your phone and it showed that you're innocent. Honestly, I feel like someone looking through your phone, if you're innocent, is not the worst thing in the world. Like my last relationship, like we had each other's phone passwords. If we were like sitting on the couch and I wanted to Google something and his phone was closer, like I would just use his phone. And I never was like going through it, but I don't think he would mind because he didn't have anything to hide. If I don't have anything to hide, I don't mind if someone's going through what apps I have downloaded and what messages I'm sending people, especially if it's in a circumstance like this. Kind of reminds me of how people don't like their data being captured on websites like Facebook or having like targeted ads because they want to have their privacy respected. But I'm in the camp of like, I'm not a terrorist. I don't care if you're going through my shit because I'm innocent. Like, what are you gonna find? My embarrassing search history? Like, I don't really care. So yeah, case closed. Tell him and explain your thought process and that you believe that he's innocent. And apologize. But like, explain that you were like, explain the emotions that you were feeling of that like terror and fear that he could be cheating and he's the love of your life, so you had to know. And now you need to get it off your chest that this little pickle got in the middle of your relationship. Okay, sounds like all the comments agree with me that this lady's trying to split them up for whatever weird reason. Editing Eliana from the future. There's actually an update to this story that wasn't here the first time that I read it. So, here it is. My fiance came home a couple hours ago and we sat down and had a talk. I told him absolutely everything. The girl reaching out, the feelings I had, the trauma it brought back from previous relationships and being cheated on by people I trusted. I admitted of going through his phone and finding nothing. I apologized a bunch, showed him the entirety of the conversation I had with the girl, and was completely transparent. My fiancé, being the absolute amazing human he is, just held me. He reassured me that he has nothing to hide from me and told me I'm allowed to look through his phone whenever I wanted. He offered to FaceTime the girl or even meet her in person if that would put my mind at ease. I told him that wouldn't be necessary and it was a lapse of judgment on my part and that I still trust him completely. He even sympathized with me that I must have been so upset the last couple days and probably went through a roller coaster of emotion. He told me that if anything like this was to ever happen in the future, he'd prefer I bring it up to him right away. He was supposed to hang out with a few friends tonight, but canceled just to spend time with me and reassure me he wasn't mad and that everything was going to be okay. Talking this out with him has been completely a relief. Oh, I'm so happy that this went well. I'm glad that she opened up to everything that she felt guilty about looking through his phone and everything she was feeling, and that his reaction was just so beautiful and wonderful and empathetic and heartfelt, and that good men do exist and happy endings do exist. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's get into the next post. He won't let me sleep. Not sure if this is where I should ask this, but the one thing me and my boyfriend consistently fight over, what feels like sabotaging my sleep. He wakes me up 2 to 3 times a night. Mostly for sex, but also other times asking me if I know where something is or to talk shit, basically. If a man woke me up in the middle of my sleep for sex, he would be gone so fucking fast. Oh my god. Woo! Or just to chat. Like, no, my sleep is so sacred, but I have a chronic illness, and if I don't get extremely good deep sleep, then I will be flaring up and my life will be a ruin and I'll be depressed, and just my sleep is so sacred to me. I make sure that everyone in my life knows that. My sleep is not to be fucked with. So this, oh, no! I have the hardest time sleeping anyways, same. And when I'm woken up, it takes me at least an hour to go back to sleep. I'm one of those people that if I don't get a full amount, I feel almost hungover the next day. And I don't drink, so it's like having a hangover without the fun attached to it. Also, for the cherry on top, every morning he wakes up grumpy saying he's tired of me rejecting him, which turns into a fight and ruins our days until I become the bigger person and sweep it under the rug. That's not being the bigger person. That's not what that means. Okay. Which I hate doing because I'm big on communicating and solving issues, but this is one he won't budge on. He refuses to see my side at all. And just so you know, during normal hours, I never reject him. Well, that's another red flag. I'm assuming she means in terms of sex, you never reject him? Never at all, ever. I'm curious how often they're having sex. You're allowed to reject your boyfriend. It's not rejecting. You're allowed to say no to sex if you're not in the mood. I'm the one who's an animal and begs for it constantly. Okay, so if you want it, totally fine. Seriously, you guys, we have sex like twice a day, sometimes 3 times. But this middle of the night shit is unhealthy, and I need to know why he's doing this. It's been a year since it started and hasn't let up. I've yelled, I've cried, I've tried joking about it, and I've had many sweet conversations letting him know it's affecting my well-being, and he still does it. Break up with him! Break up with him! Just straight up, no. The first time a guy does this to me, it's done. It's over. We're not taking it any farther. He would never become my boyfriend in the first place. Or, you know, if you want to give him one chance, you talk about it once, and then thank you next. Like, I have nothing else to say about this. I have literally nothing else to say about this. He does not respect you. Also, I think he's a sex addict. And that's genuinely a concern that he needs to work out with himself and learn how to overcome that. Most people are not having sex 2 to 3 times a day, a year into their relationship. That in and of itself is kind of an unhealthy attachment to sex, in my opinion, my humble opinion. But if you've talked to him about how sleep is sacred to you and that it's not okay to wake you up in the middle of the night for sex or just to chat, and he still does it, and he refuses to see your side, honey, that's a huge red flag. No. Just thank you next. End of conversation. Move on. Break up. Let's see what the comments have to say. Stop sweeping it under the rug. Sleep deprivation is used as torture for good reason. Intentionally messing with a partner's sleep is abusive behavior. If he cannot respect your sleep, then you need to make separate sleeping arrangements, including moving out if necessary. No, honey, they need to just break up. What he's doing is not okay. He knows what he's doing, and you need to take actions to protect your sleep and thereby your physical and mental health. I'm just, like, if he doesn't respect you about this, he's not going to respect other parts of your life. This is not the kind of man that you want to have kids with and get married to. Like, I feel so just like sick hearing this. Okay, on to the next. My black friend is obsessed with my Asian looks. I don't appreciate it. My friend, 23 female, is African American, and lately she's been obsessed with Asian looks. I knew her since high school, but we were never in the same friend group. After graduation, we were just friends on Instagram, but never really stayed in touch until this year, February. She reached out to me through DM, and it was nice to reconnect with her. She immediately started asking me about my home country's culture, what makeup I use, what I do to maintain small figure, as she says, how to learn the language, etc. I kindly introduced her to things as far as I can, but when she asked me to see her in real life to hang out, that's when I started feeling uncomfortable. She dresses like a K-pop star. She does her makeup to look like a K-pop star. She talks in Korean in the most awkward situation. For example, when we were ordering food at an Italian restaurant, she even tells me she's more Korean than I am. She brightens her skin tone to look like us and cover her double lid to make it monolid and foxy. She was the one that made fun of the way I look and how I use chopsticks to eat when I was in high school. Asian fever she is having is racist and inappropriate. How do I tell her what she's doing is racist? Ooh, it's interesting. Here's my unpopular white girl opinion. I don't think that cultural appropriation like this is racist. Is it valid that she's uncomfortable? Totally. She's kind of maybe taking it too far, like talking in Korean in weird, awkward situations, saying that she's more Korean than OP is. She's taking it a little bit too far and being a little bit too invasive of asking this person about all of her history and how she dresses and all of that. But is it racist? No. I think of it more as cultural appreciation than cultural appropriation. Just, that's a whole other topic that deserves its own video. And yeah, it sucks that in high school, she made fun of you for these things, and now she's thinks it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. But for example, how saying that she covers her double eyelids to make it look like a monolid. Asian people do the opposite all the time by putting tape in their lids to make it a double lid or getting surgery, double eyelid surgery, and that's not culturally appropriating white people. It's seen as acceptable. So why is it not allowed in reverse? You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's certain things that for a period of time were made to seem less desirable, and now people are deeming it as desirable, it's completely understandable why someone would be like, no, you can't have that. You didn't appreciate that back then. In fact, you put me down for that back then, so now all of a sudden you think it's super cool and you want to do it too? That's really shitty. It is shitty. But I also think it's a step in the right direction. That wouldn't you rather someone want to be appreciating your culture and thinking that it's beautiful to dress in certain ways, to look in certain ways, to speak certain languages, rather than putting it down? It's normalizing it, making it so that it's more acceptable by everybody. But I understand that there's too far is too far, and it can be very uncomfortable. And I know I'm going to get hate for saying that cultural appropriation isn't racist and that it's okay, which is why I think it deserves its own video so I can really get to the root of why I believe that. I realized I answered her last question, but never gave my advice on the situation. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with just quietly phasing people out of your life that you don't like. So that's an option. But if this is a friendship that you really value, or it's really important to you to be an adult and communicate what she's doing wrong, then get dinner with her and let her know that her obsession with your culture is making you uncomfortable. I also think it's important to explain the lingering childhood issue you have where she made fun of you for the same things in high school, and how it's incredibly insensitive to now be adopting those same cultural things now that it's in and cool, and that the amount of questions she's asking feels invasive and excessive. She's not Korean, and it's not funny to pretend like she is. It might be harsh, but just straight up tell her. Then let her know you value your friendship, and that's why you're bringing this up. Because as it is, it feels uncomfortable, and you want to be able to enjoy her company without it feeling so invasive. And it might be awkward for a while, but if she's really your friend, she'll appreciate it in the long term. So that's my advice. Either that, or just phase her out. Next post. I, 25 male, don't feel comfortable with my wife's 25 female friend, 22 male. My wife met a colleague from work who she became friends with, which is rare considering my wife has intense trust issues. This dude from day one has made me uncomfortable. Just already there, red flag. Pause. She's emotionally cheating. End of story. We don't have to read the rest of it. She has since been relocated and works at a different branch. However, she is still in contact with this guy. She finds him hilarious and trusts him way too much for my liking. She tells him everything. They talk on the phone daily. Conversations are an average 50 minutes long. 50 minutes, not 15. As soon as she leaves work, she'll ring him when waiting for the bus, and they'll talk all the way until she's home. Why is she not calling her husband to talk? Some days she'll get home and still keep talking, and I can hear her laughing every 30 seconds. I mean, really laughing. I've heard conversations, and the dude is just goofy. It's almost like he has a response to everything. Okay? Like he knows what she's going to say. She'll lay on bed, have a feet up, smiling ear to ear and laughing. Makes me feel like shit. Sick of hearing stories about him. I've told her how I feel, and she says I'm overreacting, and he's just a really good friend. She says he's hilarious, and is always adding him into our personal plans. She invites him to everything, yet he has never once even turned up, saying how he's too busy. Oh, that's embarrassing. He makes me feel bad. I've seen their text conversations, and some of the shit is sus. He writes so much poetic bullshit, and she eats it up. He makes me feel insecure. He's well-spoken, funny, has money, and works out. What really peed me off recently was she was upset about something, and I kept asking, what's up? And she eventually said how she made plans with him to meet for lunch after work, but he rang her earlier saying he couldn't make it, and she misses him. She talks almost like she isn't married. Oh my God. I've seen her WhatsApp girls group messages, and every maybe fifth message is about him or some reference to him, or how one of her friends went on a tea date with him, or another was supposed to meet him but he canceled. He's literally just playing with their feelings, and despite me stating the obvious, my wife can't see sense. I've told her how clearly I feel, yet nothing has changed. Recently he's gotten busy, and their phone calls have gone down to 15 minutes, which she complains to me about on the daily. I've asked her what she thinks he wants, and her response was, he says I'm really genuine and he feels comfortable talking to me. Brainwashed. What am I supposed to do with the situation? I've seen how she and her friends talk about him, fangirling. Please help. Jeez. First of all, I think it's weird that even her friends are involved with, like, making plans with him and fangirling over him. That's strange. What's he got going on? Honestly, that makes me think that he's kind of a player, fuckboy, like, charismatic type who just enjoys the attention and is really good at being a womanizer. Being, like, the good friend who's just goofy and fun to talk to. Yeah, no, definitely your feelings are completely warranted. This is really shitty situation. It's hard because from the wife's perspective, like, when you're that caught up and involved in catching feelings for this guy and technically not doing anything wrong. Like, it sounds like based off their texts. He said there's some things that are sus, but, like, it seems like she hasn't majorly crossed any lines. So she probably feels like she's innocent. Like, oh, this is just, he makes me feel good. This is a good friend. And it sounds like she doesn't trust people easily. So the fact that she feels warm and open up to him, like, obviously makes sense why she's pursuing him. Oh, that's really hard though, because it seems like every time the husband has voiced his concerns, the wife brushes it off because she technically hasn't done anything wrong, even though it's definitely something wrong. So again, I would recommend couples therapy to talk this through in, but if I were him, I would explain to her that the situation clearly, obviously, is going too far, and that he's well aware, he can see that she has some kind of feelings for him. Like, she wouldn't be so upset every time he canceled plans if she didn't have feelings. And that there's this really amazing talk that Esther Perel did about infidelity and why people cheat. I would watch that together as a couple because it really breaks down the reasons why people feel called to cheat isn't just like, oh, they were attractive and so I fucked them or whatever it may be. There's always a root reason, like feeling like something is missing or lacking in your relationship, or feeling like something's missing or lacking from your own life. And really dive deep into the subconscious to get to the root of that and figure out how you can implement that into your life. But she's not going to do that. You can't make people dive into their subconscious, unfortunately, especially when they're so hell-bent on, oh no, nothing is wrong. So it's tough. They're married, right? They got married really young. They're both 25. This is really hard. Is it bad enough that you think it warrants either a breakup or just a temporary situation, a break, for her to get her shit straight and realize that she's doing something wrong? So I think I would recommend 1, couples therapy. See if the therapist can talk some sense into her. 2, if that doesn't go well or she keeps trying to gaslight you and pretend like nothing is wrong, I honestly might suggest a break and hope it makes her come to her senses. And if not, then you got married young. These are the consequences sometimes. It can happen when you get married at any age. And 3, I think the perspective that many people don't have when reading stories like this is the manifestation, law of attraction, law of assumption sort of perspective. Is he was talking a lot about how it makes him feel insecure, that the other guy is well-spoken, he's funny, he has money, he works out, and so it makes him feel like shit about himself. I'm of the belief that every challenge that we come across in relationships is a mirror of our own subconscious mind, and situations like this occur in order to trigger us and help us grow and overcome these emotional traumas and limiting beliefs. And so the 3rd component of this is, instead of pointing the fingers at the wife, because, genuinely what she's doing is fucked up, looking inwards and seeing, why am I attracting this scenario? In what way can I make myself feel more secure and more confident, despite what's happening in my external life? And obviously, you'll still take actions and talk to the wife and deal with all that, but amidst all of that, also really reflecting and looking within and seeing, doesn't feel like he's well-spoken or that he's funny. Try and reframe that and focus on the ways that you are well-spoken or funny. You feel like you don't have money and don't work out. Well, that's an easy one. You could work out. Start working out. Huge way to improve your confidence. Or either brainstorm ways and make an action plan to make more money, or get to the root of why you feel like the amount of money that you're making is not enough, and unraveling that and feeling abundant with the amount of money that you currently have. And doing these things not to try and get the validation of your wife and get her eyes off that guy and back onto you, but to get your eyes off that guy and back onto you so that you feel confident within yourself, regardless of whether or not your wife's in your life. And either this situation will turn around, your wife will drop this guy, she'll apologize, and she'll be lovey-dovey and adore you. Or 2, she'll leave. She won't even end up with that guy because that guy's a player. And you won't attract scenarios like this any longer. Boom. Okay, that's my advice. See what people have to say in the comments. A lot of the comments are just saying, red flag, which like obviously, clearly, but what should they do about it? This is r/relationship advice. What's the advice? One person says, unfortunately, she's emotionally cheating, and the only way for her to understand is you need to have time away and really ask yourself, should I still be married since she has more feelings for the other guy than you? Since she doesn't really care about your feelings or boundaries around this guy, possibly time to see a lawyer. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So thank you so much for watching this video. I had a lot of fun filming this, and if you want the tea on my love life, I made a video putting temporary tattoos all over my body and oversharing about my love life. So click right here to watch that, or click here to watch another old video of mine. Sending you so much love.